Good morning, brothers and sisters. Wow, what a way to start. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Church of Doom. Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. I ran a session last night. I actually ran a session on Tuesday, and I ran a session last night, and I'm going to run another session tonight because that's my job. I get to run D&D as my job, and it's freaking awesome. So today, welcome. We are going to be prepping a one-shot. Obviously, it's in the title. This was all thanks to some generosity. Oh my god. Jeez, I should have cleared my throat before I started. Today, we're prepping a one-shot thanks to some generosity from some super chats in our Monday stream. So thank you to everybody who helped us unlock this. But before we dive into that, we're of course going to give a couple minutes for folks to make their way into the church, find their seat in the pews and things like that. But I wanted to just show a couple things I've been working on. It's kind of the habit I've found myself getting into with these streams. Is at the beginning, I like to just show off all the cool things that I have been doing in my hobby. So let's start. What's up, my man Mako? Ahoy, Cap. I haven't seen you in a little while, my dude. Yeah, so if you aren't following the Patreon already, you can do so for free, or you can give the $3 hobby tithing. The link is in the chat. It is pinned at the top. And I publish my morning ritual blog posts there almost every weekday. There are, of course, some days where I'm just too busy to get around to it or whatever and I miss it, but I got one up today. So there's a little video. I almost always try and include a video that I published the day before or one that might have gotten missed in the past, and it usually has something to do with what I posted today. But in this post, I published a 1d6 list of quests a wizard can offer your party and a report on last night's session from the Martyrs of the Wretched Tropics campaign, which does have 2 open seats if you want to play in it. So here's the list that I put together for the wizard quest. The first thing, though, is that art. Isn't that freaking sweet? I am having so much fun with this. I mean, I've already been doing the collage art style for a little while now, just pulling a bunch of cool things off of Pinterest and Google Images and stuff and making a new scene out of it or something totally different. And the black and white style that we adopted, you know, because if you've been following the church for a little while, you know that we did, the Doom Stronghold, right? That was my previous Kickstarter. It used a lot of pinks and yellows and greens. You can see especially like that one. And it's cool. Like there's certainly, I don't think it's bad art. I don't think it looks bad. Oh, that one's so cool though. That one was awesome. Anyways, I did decide though that the green was a little much and a little Barney-ish, especially when you start to get into like this, this is from the Traveling NPC zine that released on Patreon last month. And so going into this month with the Wretched Tropics that we've been prepping, we went basically all black and white with pink and yellow highlights. And it looks so fucking sick, especially in this one where this wizard is kind of bringing out this lamp in some sort of... I always like to introduce a little sci-fi, so whatever this thing is that's holding the lamp looks really weird and alien-esque, kind of like an invisible force dome sort of thing. So art looks great. But then the quest that I came up with, the local wizard might pay you to, last witch, give the genie trapped inside their favorite lamp, that's where the art's from, a quick and merciful death, because the wizard is tired of thieves breaking into their tower to try and steal the lamp, believing it still has the ability to grant wishes. Surface level, sounds like a fun adventure, right? Go in here, kill a genie, who knows what you're going to find inside. Maybe there's some thieves that are already in there that have gotten lost inside the lamp. That'd be a cool idea. The other big question I would hope your players would be asking is like, does it really not grant wishes? Is this wizard just lying to us so that we'll go in there and not attempt to get a wish? And does the genie try and barter for their life by offering a wish? Could be really, really cool. I'm seeing, my sweet Mother Doom. And 55 on Tuesdays. I apologize, I didn't see you in the chat. Good to see you. The mic is echoing very hard? Is it? Let me turn... The gain looks like it got turned up a little bit. Sorry about that. Is this better? Oh, dear Lord. Even Mother Doom is saying the mic is yikes right now. Whoops. Oh, boy. Before I keep going, let me know. Is that a little bit better? Should be better. The gain got turned up a little bit on accident, I guess, when I was moving it around. I don't know why it would be echoing, though. Could be peaking. I'm hoping it's better. My man Mako, if you're still here, let me know. We're going to keep going, though, and keep reading some of these, right? But yeah, you've got this genie lamp. There might be thieves inside. You might get a wish out of it. Who knows? Arcane Hostage. This is probably my favorite one. It is, the wizard wants you to... Hard Shepherd poses an interesting question. What if you spare the genie? Well, hey, That's the whole point of these little one-shot ideas that I sort of throw out there. It's like, this is my idea. You do whatever you want with it. Maybe your players do want to spare the genie, and they turn on the wizard. That could be very interesting. But this one was my favorite. The wizard asks you to rescue their hopeless apprentice who was abducted by a thieves guild while running errands in the city. Paying the characters to rescue them is a lot cheaper than paying the abductors high ransom. I just love that idea that this wizard is so, what's the word? Impartial? No, just has so little like regard for the safety, the well-being of their apprentice. They probably cycle through them often when they blow up in an arcane experiment or something, that they're like, yeah, they got kidnapped, but I don't want to, like, that's really expensive to try and get them back, and they're probably just going to die anyways. Why don't I just toss some gold to these heroes that have come through town and see if they can go save them? Love that idea. What I love about it is, A, the adventure would be fun, going into a city and fighting a thieves guild to rescue an apprentice wizard, but like this wizard who sends you on it is such an interesting NPC now. It just kind of seeds for a bad guy, but also like a redeemable character. I think it could be really fun. It's not better? What the fuck? Unplugged it and plugged it back in. I have no idea why it would be echoing. That makes no sense. Did I put a... I don't think I put a filter on myself. No? We might have to... Testing. Wow, what riveting content to be watching, right? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Does that sound better? Ropecoat, thanks for being in the chat, by the way. Even when it's not going well, and it doesn't sound great, I appreciate my loyal RPG cultists hanging out with me regardless, being patient with me. Boy, this is turning into a Hank Fernell Rudenhammer stream. We got all kinds of technical difficulties. You had it clean 1 second ago. It was better for a sec, and now it's not better? That is so fucking annoying. Well, why would it be? On this stream, muting myself, having an echo, not being able to apparently, I don't know why it's doing this, because I've never had this problem before, but hopefully now it's working. Welcome, Hard Shepherd. Welcome, Marc Clark. What's going on? Welcome, Greek Ledger. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a couple days, but I'm glad to have you back here. Bless me, Father, for I have played. It has been months since my last session. You are forgiven in the eyes of Vecna. Grandfather Doom. I can't hear anything. Well, thanks, Dad. Thanks. Yeah, I think we got it figured out. But Golden Sajti, good to see you. My rope everybody's here. Everybody's here. We're all in our seats. The pews are filled. We've got the priest's mic figured out. Let's keep going, right? Forgive me, Father, for I am bad at this. But other ideas. We'll kind of go through these a little quickly, right? The help. So you work as the chef, security, entertainment, or any other role needed to ensure their upcoming lore banquet is a flawless success. They're going to have guests from across the plains in attendance, ensuring a very chaotic evening. So not maybe the most original one-shot idea of like, oh yeah, go work at a banquet, go work at a gala. But you're going to have this sort of planar travel aspect to it, where you'll have Xenos aliens from the heavens, you'll have wizards from other planes of reality, completely other dimensions or timelines. You'll have Fae in attendance. So a really cool opportunity for the players to meet lots of strange characters. And I like this idea that the wizard isn't hiring the party to fill a specific role. It's not like all of you guys are going to be the chefs. It's like, I've got some people who are working this. I've got a few chefs. I've got a few people in security, a few people in entertainment. What I'm hiring you guys for is any problem that comes up, I expect you to solve. And what's fun about that as the GM is then during this chaotic evening with this gala, you can throw whatever you want at the party, and they have to sort of figure out a way to fix it, which I think could be a good time. You got public relations. The wizard asks you to improve their reputation with the townsfolk because before they're run out by an angry mob, because their stubborn and continued attempts to better the townsfolk's lives with magic have all ended in disaster. I like this idea of a wizard who wants to do good. They believe that they can help these people live better lives, and they're sort of trying to like cram a magic down their throats of like, don't you get it? Magic is the best thing. Magic is the answer to everything. And a lot of these towns were like, we just kind of like our normal lives. We don't want this magic stuff. And the wizard is a little too stubborn to either accept that or give up on their mission. They think they're right. They're not evil. They're just maybe misguided could be a good word for it. But yeah, it's a PR disaster your players would have to address. You could do the Exterminate one, traverse their subconscious, purge it of intellect imps who are driving them mad. And then this little note here is that the wizard's thoughts and memories will literally shape the bizarre geography the party must traverse inside their mind. So, you know, the mind of a wizard, the mind of an archmage is a terrifying place because who knows what things might be hiding in their subconscious, right? The players go in there to fight some intellect imps, but maybe they encounter something far, far worse. And last idea, biggest fans. The wizard will pay you to attend their next spell duel and get the crowd to cheer for them because they need a boost of confidence. They're on a humiliating losing streak that is quickly turning them into the laughingstock of their arcane order. I think originally this idea had started as like they're having like performance anxiety in these wizard duels. They show up and they're just so like freaked out by the pressure and they're not sure if people even like believe in them and they just fumble the whole bag. But that felt a little too silly. And instead I liked maybe they're just not very good at this. But if you can get the crowd, if your players who are in the crowd can use their charisma checks or magics or whatever to get people cheering, then that can sort of tip the odds in the favor of this wizard to win the duel. And then they could become very, very strong allies. So that's this list of Wizard Quest ideas that I give the ideas out for free. But if you are a tithe-giving patron, then the PDF download is available right now on the Doomnomicon. So you can go get that on my Google Drive, which is the very first post at the very top of my Patreon. Or you can, the PDF will also be released for all of my patrons on Sunday. So you can go snag that. And then last thing I wanted to show off, or actually before I transition, let's see what everybody was thinking. Golden Sajti, let's see what you were saying. I'm playing an evil character. The joke I have, the biggest reputation just because I build and help get stuff done in a city. I play an evil character. Oh, you're playing an evil character. Were you like an artificer or something? You helped build stuff in the city and get stuff done? Or are you more of like a crime boss sort of dude, like a rogue? Sounds like a cool character. Hard Shepherd has an idea. The local wizard casts a set of spells to be polymorphed into him. Wait. Casts a set of spells to be polymorphed into him to go out and drive up customers with the use of magic and items and possibly avoid assassination. Polymorphed into him. Hard. Maybe run that one by me again. What are they? Who's being polymorphed, and what is he? Is the wizard being polymorphed, or is he polymorphing the characters into something? But the idea of a wizard going around driving up the cost of magic items does sound cool. Grandfather Doom has an idea here for a new spell. Intermittent Exaltation. When cast on a spellcaster, their voice goes in and out randomly, cursing any spells cast to fail on a failed intelligence save versus difficulty 12. Oh, that's cool. So like it's like a silent spell that's blinking in and out of existence. That's fun. Or like you could easily do something where it just messes with your vocal cords and you're kind of like your voice cracking and the wizard. Sometimes it's talking really high pitched and you almost can't hear it. And other times it's low pitched and it sort of just messes up their magics. It's a cool spell idea. Thanks for sharing that, Grandfather Doom. Thanks, Dad. Last thing I wanted to share before we jump into prepping our Doomsday one-shot. Actually, there's two things technically, but this is the big one. I just wanted to show off a little bit of kind of how last night's session went in the Martyrs of the Wretched Tropics. So the party 2 weeks ago, they were arriving in the Wretched Tropics at what they were told was this old abandoned town that the people aboard their boat that they were coming with were going to resettle. But when they got there and the guards were kind of sent ahead to get a foothold on the beach, the guards never came back. So the party was sent to go investigate, and they found that these Koatoa had captured the guards and were preparing them as some sort of offering to something. We rolled a timer die. The party in my defense, had like 4 rounds to kind of put a stop to this ritual, and they kind of just focused on every round. They were just attacking. Like, no one tried to like do anything to get the guards out of there. So they ended up failing to stop this ritual. And what appeared was the King in Black, which was an aboleth. This old ancient aboleth with rubbery black tentacles and skin. And these, so you guys know, I love Vecna, and in my world, he's like the mortal prophet or whatever. And he's got the 3 eyes, which is kind of the Illuminati triangle. The aboleth had the 3 eyes, but they were inverted, an upside down triangle. It appeared, and kind of with its high intellect and its mind reading abilities, decided these Koatoa are fine as minions, but these characters would be far better. And so he said, you have 5 days to bring me an offering, or else I'll just basically kill everybody on your ship, is essentially what he said. And the party was like, fine. So that was what was going on leading into the last night's session. So the party went down and talked to the Koatoa, who they kind of have like a peace treaty with for the moment, because the Koatoa work for or serve the King in Black, and the party is sort of doing the same thing, with plans to, of course, defeat him in the future or something. But the Koatoa ended up telling them that there was a shipwreck that was a couple days north of where they were at, but the shipwreck was way up on the side of a cliff, and the Koatoa couldn't really get to it. So the party's like, oh, perfect, we'll head that way. They start going up the beachfront, kind of avoiding the jungle for the most part, and they eventually arrive at this cliff, and they see that, okay, this is obviously no normal ship. It's probably some sort of airship that's crashed into the side of the cliff. But the problem is there were all of these pterodactyls. I called them sky teeth or sky tooths that were nesting on it. And the party's like, well, we definitely don't want to fight them while we're climbing the cliff. So they asked an interesting question. They said, can we go, is there any way to kind of go up around and rappel down? And I said, absolutely. You just got to give me a survival check, especially because this is your first time going into the jungle. It's not, you're not going to be trekking for hours to get up there, but you're certainly good. It's going to take a little while to find a way up there. They failed the check, so I had them be ambushed by a man-eating plant, which I used this little mini, and we did full theater of the mind last night. Well, basically, it's like 99% theater of the mind, where I would kind of just drop a mini onto our big map in Owlbear Rodeo, and then I would move their pawns around to just kind of represent basic positioning. It was so fun, so fluid. I'm going to keep doing that. But this man-eating pitcher plant thing would scoop people up in his roots and try and drop it down into his mouth. They'd fall into a kind of digestive acid stuff. But it was a pretty simple fight, honestly. The party did pretty good killing this thing. It was more meant to just whittle away at some of their resources and hit points before they got to the main fight, which was with the Skytooth. So they got up to the top of the cliff, they're looking down, and they decide, why don't we send our automaton? These things are probably not going to eat him, and if we send him with some rations, maybe he can kind of buy some time. So what I had them do is, I didn't even require a check to rappel down. I was like, yeah, that's fine. You can anchor it to a tree and make your way down. Now, give me an animal handling check. He succeeded, and then I said, roll me a timer die. Let's see how long these rations will give you. He ended up rolling a 4, so he had full 4 turns to sort of investigate this sky ship. And if you were following along or participated in our creation and brainstorming of the Wretched Tropics, then you already know this sky ship is from the Heaven Steps, the ancient abandoned void vessel manufacturing and docking facility. And a bunch of the ships, kind of when they tried to join the Great Pilgrimage, were smited down from the skies and crashed all across the peninsula. And this is one of them. And so the party the automaton made his way up to where the steering wheel would have been, but I described it as more of like this very like Star Wars-y sort of command terminal with these runic keys that needed to be typed. And there were these like obelisks that looked like they were just obelisks. They weren't quite sure what they were. But eventually, because this automaton, part of his backstory is he's super old. He'd just been in stasis for a long time. He kind of figured out through a history check, like sort of what might need to be done. And he was proficient in navigator's tools. And he ended up figuring out like how to turn it on. And the obelisks projected these sort of like command terminal hologram things that were showing them status reports of the ship and how much fuel it had and stuff like that. And he went to like turn it on and it said enter captain prayer, or what was it, like enter captain ignition prayer or something like that. So he's like, oh fuck, okay. So he goes down, sneaks his way into the captain's quarters. It's eating into the timer at this point, and he succeeds on his investigation check. He finds the instruction manual on how to operate this ship with all the captain's notes and things in there, and a key to a treasure chest they'll open next session. But he runs back up to the top, turns this ship on, and it powers up and begins to rip away from the side of the cliff. The rest of the party jumps onto the ship as all of the Skytooths are wah, wah, just freaking out, squawking all over the place. And then the Alpha makes out a mighty roar, kind of rallies them all together, and we had a big fun fight that honestly was pretty... it was like a slobber fest for the characters. They beat the shit out of my Skytooth. They really weren't at much risk of dying until the last round. The Alpha Skytooth snatched up the party's gnome and took him off the side of the ship and was just kind of fleeing with him in his beak, trying to get away. But then Asher, the party's cleric, activated his Dread Domain ability. He got his wings, leapt off the side of the ship and soared next to this thing and ripped the gnome free, and then it was just a turkey shoot at that point. Everybody took him out, and that's where the session ended. So the party not only has a key to open up a treasure chest somewhere on the ship to get some offerings to hopefully keep some for themselves and give some to the King in Black, but they also have an airship. But what I did, because I didn't want them to be able to just have a skyship forever, and now they could just move anywhere they wanted all the time, especially in like session 3 of the campaign, I had them roll a d8 to see how much fuel was in it. I think they rolled a 4. And what I ruled in the moment was, okay, that is 4 flights. And a flight is just a takeoff and a landing over a kind of basically any distance except a negligible one. Like if you're just kind of like, I'm trying to even think of an example of a negligible flight, right? If you're just moving like 100 feet, right? You're just kind of like beep, beep, pivoting. That doesn't count. But if they want to fly from where they are back to the village where the Koato are, that is considered one of their 4 flights. So a really powerful, useful resource, but one that is extremely limited. And that was our campaign session. It was awesome. The Theater of the Mind was so cool. I've just been doing black and white minis that I just find on Pinterest or whatever. It's been a ton of fun. So hopefully you guys got some cool ideas out of that, got a little inspiration or whatever. But let's now jump over into Canva. And let's get working, right? After, this is the Heaven Steps, by the way. I wanted to show this off too. The artwork that I did for the second to last page of our zine. I still need to do the art for the Bombarded Garden. I need to write up a list of random encounters, the major factions, and then I'm almost done kind of summarizing the hex locations. But the zine is so close to being done, it'll go up this weekend. But shout out to anyone who can tell me who this guy is. Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me who the statue atop these ziggurat temples are? 10 points to Gryffindor if you know. What else we got here? Heart Chef. Okay, going back a ways. I know I was talking for a while there, kind of summarizing things, but ooh, nice. Heart Shepherd had shared an idea of like the wizard sort of does some polymorphing, and he clarified he polymorphs the characters into a copy of the wizard to go out and help kind of sell his wares and avoid assassination. That's a cool idea. Oh, that would be a really fun quest if the wizard knew he was going to be assassinated and he hired the party to sort of like under the pretense of, oh yeah, you're all gonna look like me, but only because I want you to go help me sell stuff and you'll get a share of the profit, right? Because the wizard doesn't care about the money. He just cares about saving his own skin. So the characters, one of them could be the target of the assassination. That's a fun idea. Great idea, Heart Shepherd. Thanks for clarifying. My man Mako had a question. Weird request, Captain, but where do you get the music for your streams? Great question. It's actually at the bottom of the description of the video. I link it every time. But it's called, oh my gosh. Lost in the Woods, I think is the name of the artist. They're on SoundCloud. They're a dungeon synth artist, and they said on their site, like, you can use my stuff on your stream for free, just credit me. But I bought all of their albums and just kind of mashed it into one big long playlist so it could just loop. But yeah, I'm glad you like it. Anywho, hey G. Joel Moore, good to see you. Where were we at? Oh, Kevin. Hey, Kevin. Good to see you in the chat. Can confirm. Last night's session was sick. Yeah, I thought so too. And Scarlet Demon, good morning. Oh, hell yeah. We got quite a few folks hanging out with us today. And Grandfather Doom, 10 points to you. Moroni. It is the Angel Moroni. This guy is on top of all of the Mormon temples here in the beautiful state of Utah, which is just a fun little inside joke for me to put on this. So, and that's all the cool stuff that I had going on. That's the first 25 minutes of our stream, right? I wrote up a random table, ran a session, working on our zine, making cool art, D&D is the freaking best. It is so fun. Now, what do you say we prep a one-shot, right? Let's fucking go, right? Let's do this thing. So, as you saw in the thumbnail, 4 simple steps to prep a one-shot. So the one-shot in tonight's adventure, we're going to figure out what is the Doomsday. Now that's sort of a specific step to my brand and the theme of this one-shot. It's meant to be like an apocalyptic event, something the party needs to stop or all hell will break loose. Maybe literally, right? Now that doesn't mean it has to be high level. You could do a Doomsday adventure with level 1 characters if you wanted. So I'm not too worried about, that sort of vibe. But we're going to figure out first, what are the stakes? What is this Doomsday that we're trying to avoid? So immediately, right now, guys, start dropping ideas in the chat. What is our Doomsday event? While I kind of go over the next couple steps, because that's what we're going to need to kick things off, right, with this Doomsday. But once we know the big threat, then we're going to talk about the enemies. Who is trying to do this? What minions do they have to work with? Maybe in addition to the enemies, we could think about some sources of danger. Are there traps? Are there wards? Are there environmental threats? That sort of a vibe. Some of that will go into our next step, though. Once we know the Doomsday event, once we know who's trying to cause it, then we're going to figure out the location. Where is this taking place specifically? And once we know those 3 things, I think we have all the information we need, or all the inspiring imagery we need to start putting the pieces together and to start thinking about, okay, what are the tasks? What will the characters need to do in tonight's session to divert the Doomsday? And it's not necessary. I mean, we will kind of prep out a loose sequence of events, because you do need that, especially for a one-shot. But a lot of how I do my session prep and how I prep my one-shots is kind of one and the same, where I keep it really loosey-goosey. As long as I have these 3 things in my head at all times, I kind of can throw anything at the party in the moment and keep it moving forward, right? Because I know what it's all leading up to. But we're still going to want to lay out some of the critical tasks to give ourselves a little bit of structure, okay? And those are the 4 steps. That's all I think it really takes. And honestly, you could combine all 3 of these into one. It's just kind of like who, what, where, when, why. That's like step 1. But I'm a sucker for D4, D6, D8 lists. You guys know that. So what are we thinking for our Doomsday? What do we got? My man Mako says maybe we're trying to prevent a political assassination at a very important peace negotiations. That's interesting. I'm glad you threw something like that out there, especially because last stream we talked about political intrigue and how it's sort of hard to do. But so many of my Doomsday events are like, the world's going to explode. There's a giant explosion. No matter what it is that's going on at the end, it's going to end in a giant explosion. But this is a little different, where the end of the world, or the Doomsday for this region of the world, is going to come about because essentially the events that led up to World War I, right? An important, but maybe not the most important, but a crucial diplomatic figure is killed. And it just causes a spiral of events. So that's a good idea. Hey, good day to you, Noble Knight. Good day. Scarlet Demon has a Mormonism inside joke. Could also be a temple filled with gelatinous cubes, since Utah Mormons are the biggest consumers of Jello. That's okay. So Scarlet Demon, you have to let me know. I'm curious if you also live in Utah. But as someone who does live in Utah and has been here for quite a while, I don't actually know where the Jello joke comes from. Maybe that was the truth at one point, but I cannot tell you. Granted, I'm not Mormon, so there is that, I suppose. But I grew up in and everybody around me has always been Mormon, and I've gone to some of their things they invite me to or whatever. I never went to an event and was like, wow, there's a lot of Jello here. If anything, now I would say the inside joke about Utah is we're the biggest consumers of soda. If any of you have watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which you should and you shouldn't. It's an absolutely god-awful show. The characters are all deplorable. I can't stand them, but that's also why you watch it, because you're like, I just want to hate these people. But they all are, and there's a soda shop. There's more soda shops than I bet there are Starbucks, especially here in the Salt Lake Valley. But a gelatinous cube temple could be an interesting place to kind of take this Scarlet Demon. Golden Sajti also had an idea. Maybe a necromancer lost one of his unfinished projects. It's gone rogue inside the sewers. The task is to hunt it down and carry it back. The guilty one is the necromancer's assistant, who got angry for not getting attention. So the apprentice let it out. It's an interesting idea, too. I should probably be writing some of these down, right? Let's do a little... Keep brainstorming, because I don't know... None of these I'm quite oh, that's the one. That's going to be it. So let's keep thinking. I was thinking. Okay, so the Doomsday. Actually, do I have... Oh, perfect. I do have middle dividers. We'll do it that way. Oh, but now it's all wonky with this one. That's fine. I'll ignore that. I will not let that... Nope, it bothers me. We'll just do... No! The stakes. Sorry, I'm being so ridiculously specific about this. Where... And... We'll just say, what must the party do? At least then it's one line, and that will just feel better. Not all of them have to be that way, but at least that one. Okay, so we had ideas for the Doomsday. First one was, I think it was My Man Mako. So there was an assassination attempt. How do I describe him? A crucial political figure is at risk of assassination. War will break out if they die. Cool. We also had ideas. Golden Sajdi had an idea for a necromancer's creature broke loose. The only thing about that Golden Sajdi is that doesn't really sound like a Doomsday. Like that sounds like something bad, but it doesn't sound like anything that could really spiral out of control and cause like an apocalypse in a way. And doesn't have to be the world, but like an apocalypse can be limited to a region, but just a city sewer, not quite getting something out of that, but maybe you can find a way to sort of oomph that idea, right? Scarlet Demon saying, I'm from Arizona. The Jello is because of ease of making. Mormonism's forbidding alcohol and caffeine means they need something to replace it, so it fell to Jello. Yeah, I think that joke probably came more in like the 80s or the 90s, I would guess, because for as long as I've been here, they love their caffeine. They can't get enough of it. I know it says they're not supposed to have caffeine, but they certainly have plenty of it. So, yeah, I don't know about Jello anymore, but I have heard that joke. So, Grandfather Doom said, also adding in, as an old Utahn, the gelatinous cube joke totally resonates. Never went to an LDS church event that didn't have Jello with carrot shavings in it. Oh, see, like I said, it must have been kind of maybe it was like a generational thing or it was an older thing, because I can't tell you the last time I saw Jello or heard anyone say they were making Jello. But that's funny, Grandfather Doom. Oh, carrots in a Jello sounds disgusting. My Mameko says, maybe the characters are hired to board a large artificer submarine. Ooh, a submarine. You got me already hooked. While it is going through pirates, Sahuagin, and monster-infested waters. Maybe they are archaeologists, so they have to stop and investigate some spots. Okay, what if... to make it more Doomsday, what if the submarine... I'm thinking of... There's a scene in Flashpoint Paradox, or the Flashpoint movie, if you guys have seen that, the animated DC movie, where there's a submarine that has Mr. Atomic. I don't know all of the DC characters very well, but there's like a character who is sort of a living nuclear reactor sort of dude. And he's down in the submarine, and they kind of have him like imprisoned there. I think he's powering the submarine, but something goes wrong. I don't remember what, but he basically ends up blowing up. But because of his nature as a superhero, it's not the same thing as just an atomic bomb going off. It's like this endless explosion that basically destroys the whole universe. Maybe there's something we could do with that, with a submarine. Oh, you know what? I just remembered another cool YouTube video I watched. It was like, what was it? It was like a game that was, or it was a video analyzing games that had to do with like eldritch horror or something like that. And one of the game that it was talking about was you were in a submarine and you were sent down to the bottom of the ocean. I think in this specific game you're like prisoners or whatever, and this is how you serve your sentence. But you go down and you're investigating these strange sights along the bottom of the ocean, and the end of the game kind of results in like, oh my god, there's like angels down here, like the giant squids that people like are super. How does it pitch it? I think it pitches it as like giant squids are actually angels, and because they're so deep and the photographs we've gotten of them are so incomplete and kind of hard to make out, we've just never known that. So I think something like that could be really cool. Let's do submarine. We are investigating occult sites. Sites at the bottom of the ocean. Maybe it's like risk of waking old god, like a Cthulhu, right? You kind of risk that. So that's a cool idea. Other ideas, though. What else do we got? Noble Knight said a flesh golem has gathered lots of arcane lore and is planning to make a flesh golem army to devour the world in a sea of flesh seen in blood. Ooh, dang. Ocean of blood and bone and guts. Could we do something with a flesh golem? Maybe like an ocean of blood is interesting. Like a flesh golem prophet, almost. A flesh golem is becoming an avatar for a god of death. And a flesh golem is becoming an avatar for a god of death and will flood the world in blood. I'm kind of not seeing the connection between blood and a flesh golem because they don't have blood in them. They're like an undead, but maybe we can find a connection if that's the idea we choose. But thanks for sharing that, Noble Knight. Couple more. Let's get a couple more and then we'll run a poll. Oh, by the way, cheers, everyone. It's not quite cold. Heart Shepherd has an idea for the Doomsday. An artificer has stumbled upon an ancient device and has accidentally activated it. He needs parts and lost research to shut it down. Ooh. Yeah, so this thing is powering up. How could we... So the way you pitch that is like, he needs parts and things to shut it down. Obviously, for a one-shot, you can't really be sending your players to a bunch of different locations because there's just not enough time in the night. But what kind of device could they have activated? Because I don't want to just go the bomb route. Because I've kind of done that and we've talked about it before. What could they have woken up? Maybe some sort of, like, going off of Doom. Oh, what's the new Doom called? Doom. Oh my god. I keep wanting to say the old world, but I know that's just my campaign setting. Doom, the Dark Age, I think is what it's called. There's the giant Jaeger suit that he pilots. Maybe that's like our Doomsday. Yeah, we'll say. How do you spell Jaeger? Is it? I think that's how you spell it. An artificer has accidentally powered up an ancient Titan that must be entered and shut back down. So you've kind of got to go inside this thing and blow it up. And maybe it has a bunch of like drones inside it that act as security, or there's like the creators of it are still inside it. I don't know. That could be cool. Let's get to a D6 list, right? So 2 more ideas. Boo. Give you all a second to type. I probably need to get one of my own on this list too. Hold on. Pink. Okay, there we go. All right, other ideas. Heart Shepherd's got one. Or no, hold on. Scarlet Demon. Oh, you guys have a bunch kind of coming in here. Okay. Golden Sausage said, maybe the idea is that the undead is eating the mana from... Sorry, Golden, I'm sorry. I'm trying to kind of follow along with this idea. It seems like the undead is like consuming mana, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger somehow. Kind of cool. Scarlet Demon said, maybe going... to a Bioshock route could be fun. Maybe the waters are infested with monsters that are being brought forth because of something like a dimensional rift or a massive underwater volcano erupting. Oh yeah, that's that specific rim right there. I never played Bioshock, so that could be a thing from it too. Heart Shepherd has another Doomsday. There's a message in a bottle. It's handed to the players. When they open it and read it, it warps them into a pocket dimension. The pocket dimension is whatever you wish. Dungeon, death traps, cult, etc. Does that... What's the Doomsday event though, right? Scarlet Demon said, working with the flesh golem idea, I read a story once where a graveyard became sentient, so it has this massive undead elemental beast wanting retribution. The more it destroys, the bigger it got. That's cool. Scarlet Demon also adding that the Jaeger and the Artificer could have accidentally activated something like a Stargate. I'm digging that. Yeah, I agree, Rupgo. Kaiju are always fun. What's up, TS or T3S5? Well, hello. I don't know. Have I ever seen you before? Apologies if I have. That name doesn't sound familiar, or the user or the profile pic. But welcome to our stream. We are prepping a Doomsday one-shot. Right now, we're just deciding on what the Doomsday is. My man Mako, I'm caught up in chat after this. We can go the sad way. The world has ended. All the players can do now is prolong the lives of those they protect for as long as they can in the face of the end of the cycle himself. Ooh. You did give me an idea of like, what if the apocalypse is... Like, what if we really shrink the scale down? to as small as you can get it. What if instead of there being some giant monster or giant explosion that's going to destroy the world, instead it's like the players are among the last 20 people alive in the world, as far as they know, right? Like, it is nothing but endless wasteland surrounding them, and the Doomsday will come about if they die, and so you have to protect them from a pack of gnolls. All like such mundane, normal threats. Gnolls protect some villagers from an attack. You're kind of just in in the wilderness area. There's nothing crazy, but the consequences of failure means that mortal kind might go extinct. I think that's really cool. It's like an extinction event. How do you spell extinction? The players are among the last. We could even do like 1d20, right? 1d20 mortals alive, and if they fail to protect their caravan from gnolls or orcs or whatever, from gnolls, the mortal race will go extinct. That's a very cool one. I like that a lot. TS35 or T3S5, gotta get that wrong every time, says, my name is Tess, it's just written quirky, hee hee. Sounds fun, I've been following your channel for quite a bit, I just haven't commented. Oh, well, cool, glad you've been following the channel. What kind of deal do you like about RPGs? Are you system agnostic? You play in a specific system? You excited about Daggerheart? I've been talking about that quite a bit on my, well, I've mentioned it a lot on stream. My videos are not quite as, my long format videos are pretty sporadic. I kind of, when I get hit with an idea or hit with some inspiration, I'll crank it out in a day. Other than that, I'm trying to just keep some shorts going and stuff like that. But I appreciate you kind of tuning in and leaving a comment. I think that's really cool. We need one last idea. We could do something with this, flesh golem idea. But Scarlet Demon... oh, hold on. Noble Knight said, following up on that idea, I think instead of 20, it should be 500, because that's the minimum amount of people to make a stable population. And it also means it'll be harder for the players to protect. Okay, Noble Knight 2, yeah. Does it make sense that the mortal species is dependent upon 20 people? Of course not. Obviously, that's not sustainable. But 500 is an insane amount. How do you give meaningful decisions to your players when there's 500 people, right? When it's 20, you can make all of those sort of independent little NPCs if you wanted to, but really you only need 3 of them to be a named NPC, and the party will have a lot of attachment to this group of 20. 500, that's an army of people. That's a village, a town. I think that 20, while it might not be realistic in our world, I think it adds a sense of weight and gravity and somberness to the one-shot that benefits it. But I see the point you're making. Scarlet Demon said we could go full day after tomorrow route, but make it so that the mages studying the lost magics angered other beings who are causing the region's dramatic topography and weather. Day after tomorrow. I actually don't know if I've ever watched that movie. I'm thinking of... I am almost certain this is not what you're referencing. I'm thinking of that Tom Cruise movie. It had 2 or 3 different names. It was Live, Die, Repeat. But then it was called something else, where it's like a Groundhog movie. He dies and then he wakes up and he's in a war with aliens. We could do something like that, though. That could be kind of cool. Heart Shepherd says, maybe we need to keep a mage tyrant entertained as a high-level mage slayer assassinates him. How will the party entertain such powerful a person for 2d6 rounds? Could be cool. We already sort of have an assassin idea on here. But I do like that it's more of a charisma-based one-shot as opposed to a combat one. Or Man Mako said, what if the characters have to prevent an important business deal from going through? That could be interesting. Edge of Tomorrow, is that what I'm thinking? So there's Day After Tomorrow and Edge of Tomorrow. Why don't we go, let's do Groundhog. That just sounds fun. Sounds cool. So the player, and then what's nice about that is it doesn't matter if your players die. They just get to start it again. But you'd have to almost make it well, how do you make that fun? Because basically, with it being a one-shot, they'd have to die and almost go straight back into the fight that they just had. Could be a series of puzzle rooms. Or maybe they... thinking maybe they have to like work their way through a series of trapped dungeon rooms to reach a cult or something, and they can die as many times as they want getting to the cult, but once they reach the cult, then like they can't die there. Ooh, that could be cool. That could be fun. Party must traverse a deadly dungeon to reach and stop, we'll just call him a Doomsday cult for now, and can die as many times as needed to reach the cult. Once they reach them, death becomes permanent. Okay, cool. I actually think we might have done too many ideas because the poll on YouTube only allows me to do D4 ideas. But let's run our poll. Let's see, what is our Doomsday presence, or our Doomsday event? The Doomsday is ... So I have to kind of pick my favorite 4. Assassination, investigate a cult site to the bottom of the ocean, Flesh Golem has become an avatar, Artificer is accidentally powered up an ancient titan, party must traverse a deadly dungeon, kind of a Groundhog Day, or the extinction event. I like the assassination, so we'll call these, let's do stop the assassination. We'll do the submarine's cool, but the Jaeger is also cool. But I kind of feel like the Jaeger has been done before, or like the idea of a colossal titan has sort of been done a lot of times. So I think I'm going to go the submarine route. I'll just call it Eldritch Submarine. We could do Groundhog Dungeon. Just keep coming back and back and back. Or we can do the Last Mortals. That'll be the extinction event, right? Save the last 20 people or so. Okay, we'll let that run for a minute. Throw your votes in. What do you want it to do? Oh, okay. A bunch of ideas kind of were coming in that last moment as I was typing up that poll. But I saw Grandfather Doom had a cool one. Minions of Facepalker, which is the black dragon in my Retrotropics location, comes demanding tribute, promising horrible retribution if tribute isn't offered up. They are not actual minions, but... Oh, wait. Oh, I missed them. Okay, so minions of Facepalker come, but they're not minions, they're bandits. That's a cool idea. That's fun. Casey, what's up? Casey Wilkes? Each time they die, an angel comes and gives their soul back. In the last battle, the number of dead souls comes back as the minions. Whoa. That's a fun idea. They have to fight their, like, undead spirit selves. That could be really cool. Golden Sashti says, maybe the players are undead. They can die as much as they want, but in the cult's last room, they can't, as then a demon has been summoned there to eat their souls. Oh, okay, cool. So that's what's stopping the reincarnation from happening. You know what could be cool, too, is if we really wanted to make this feel like an apocalyptic Doomsday, is the gods themselves are, like, looking down at the players, or the characters, and anytime they die, they sacrifice an angel. It's like, you sacrifice an angel, and they become the new soul of this character, and the gods are willing to sacrifice as many angels as it takes to get the players to the final room, but then when you get there, the archdemon you have to fight just stops any angels from even getting close. As the angel's soul kind of flies down to inhabit the body, it just burns away in the presence of the demon. That would be really cool. Good contribution there, Casey. My man Mako saying, I'm telling you right now, Groundhog Day is not fun to be a player for. We've tried, but all it does is diminish your achievements and make death less meaningful. I can't say from my own experience. I can take your word for it. My gut tells me, like, it can be fun, but you just have to prep it in a specific way. And, like, I think that having death have consequences in the final room sort of helps with that. But I totally see your point. Absolutely. All right, let's see what y'all voted for in the poll. The Last Mortals, 40%. Hey, 10 votes in the poll. We haven't had that many in a little while. Hell yeah. Okay. Well, we are prepping The Last Mortals. So let's change our name here. Actually, hold on. I kind of want to keep this for future reference in case I do a video on it or something. Oops. Duplicate that. Okay. The Last Mortals. So we know our theme now. What is the Doomsday? It is the players are among the last 1d20 mortals alive. Got to keep them safe. Okay. now that we know that, let's do... Or actually, oh my gosh, I'm being weird about this. Okay, perfect. Oh my... There we go. Now we need to think about who is to blame, or what is... Oh my lord. Option, shift, drag. There we go. Okay, the enemy, or enemies. What are some ideas? Who's attacking? What is trying to kill us? We already had the idea for gnolls, and what I want for ideas in chat is don't just be like, it should be orcs. Like, what is it about these orcs that makes them scary, terrifying, fitting for this sort of end of the world, kill all the humans sort of idea, right? What else? So what makes these gnolls interesting? Maybe they ride on something, or they... I mean, it could be like... I always liked the wargs in Lord of the Rings 2, the Two Towers. Those wargs were really freaky, and like some gnoll warg riders could be fun. And like the mission that the players are doing like is less about stand in a circle and protect all the people, but you're like riding across this wasteland as these gnolls are coming and riding up to fight you. I like that idea. Gnoll warg riders chasing the party's caravan. That's a cool one. And that's a very action-packed sort of idea. It already tells us a little bit about like where the location could even be, in the sense of like you're racing across a wasteland or riding through a forest or something like that. What else we got? What else we got? If the gods are sacrificing an angel with every resurrection... Oh, so you're, Scarlet Demon, kind of talking about a different idea. But if the gods are sacrificing an angel with every resurrection, when they come back, would they come back knowing just how many angels were sacrificed, and that knowledge's weight plagued the mind? Could be interesting if you ran that one shot. Yeah, every time you come back, you're just like, oh my god, how many angels are dying to save me, and why me? Could be cool. And my man Mako saying, no, though, that's the worst. That's the worst idea. We'll take my man Mako's word for it, right? Scarlet Demon said, what if the gnolls have become mutated by the magics of the region, making different factions of gnolls have elemental abilities like drooling lava, ice spikes instead of fur, those kinds of ideas? Could be fun. My man Mako asked a clarifying question. Are we in a town? Are we in a caravan? So that's that's our next step, right? We're figuring out, or we figured out the stakes. Now we're figuring out who's causing it. The next step would be the location, but we're not like trapped in the rigidry of like we have to do step 2 and then we do step 3. Like if you have a really cool idea for an enemy that revolves around a specific location, pitch it and we can work it in there, right? Casey said, I don't know if this would work with the setting, but wargs who are a part of a sled dog style team being run by an even bigger threat. Oh, so you're saying gnoll or wargs could be a totally different idea for the enemy? Yeah, we could do something like that. I wouldn't mind trying to keep each one a little unique, but it totally could be the thing where the gnolls are riding like there's... Oh, here's an idea, Casey, kind of going off of your thought there. What if the gnolls aren't each on individual wargs? Some of them are, but they have like a war... What would it be? Like a war cart or something? What would gnolls have? A war or a hunting tower? Something. I don't know. They have some sort of structure that is being pulled by a team of wargs, and there's gnolls like firing arrows up from the top of this thing. They're hanging off the side of it. It's very Mad Maxy. Oh, that would be so cool. Mad Max gnolls would be fucking awesome. Heart Shepherd said, maybe the enemy is, let's see, Green Hell. You got to escape a jungle from an angry druid using blight and trees teleporting towards them. They've got tree stride, so that kind of ability. That could be cool. They also, or Noble Knight throwing in an idea. Maybe the enemy is dead. The countless corpses of people who die in the apocalypse. Oh, a zombie apocalypse is a great idea. And also, I'll throw a Heart Shepherd's idea in there too. But let's see. So what could we say that's interesting about these zombies? Very like Walking Dead style here. So much of what makes zombies scary and interesting in the moment is honestly where you encounter them. Like, that's what makes... Like, The Walking Dead isn't... The early seasons of Walking Dead weren't scary because of the zombies, but rather the situations the characters find themselves in when the zombies attack, right? When Glenn is like stuck in the revolving door and there's zombies sort of on like, was it one side? Both? No, there was on one side and there was somebody else on the other side of the door and they were like, oh my god, one of us is going to get eaten. That's what makes them scary. When you fall down into a flooded cellar and then you realize there's zombies in the water, that's scary. So it's hard to make just the zombies themselves creepy. I don't want to do like sprinters or anything. What if we do... I also like don't want to do like the horde is so massive, like it's the rest of humanity, right, is descending upon you as a plague. Maybe we just keep it simple though. We just say a large horde of zombies are wandering through the area, because again the location is what will make that cool. What was? Oops. Come on now. There was an idea I missed. It was from Hard Shepherd, was the jungle idea. Oh, dang, quite a few messages. Let me read all these real fast here. Kyle Campu, which, blessed be the member, right? If the players are the last survivors of an environmental disaster, maybe they're being pursued by elementals seeking to I'm not sure what. Oh, wipe out sentient life and make a primordial world where the elementals reign. That's a cool idea. Golden Sajti said maybe play undead that were the scum of the earth, revived by a necromancer, like your last idea. The party only wants to earn forgiveness from the gods by doing this job, so they have to wipe out the zombies? Could maybe. Agreed, Casey. Anything Mad Max themed is awesome in fantasy settings. Hey, Tessa, you gotta go, but thanks for the inspiration, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us for a moment. I appreciate you jumping into the chat. Hopefully we see you in a future stream. My man Mako adding an idea that he thinks would be cool for the gnolls would be to make them utilize dust storms, their rough talk blending into the wind and their fur giving them great stealth. The people are terrified of their lightning assaults. Ooh, that could be cool. You could even have like lightning dust storms, and maybe these gnolls have like their cart, their war wagon has these big metal spikes. It almost looks like a huge porcupine or like a gnoll's mane that's kind of racing across the desert, but these poles are so tall that lightning will strike them, so the gnolls have like shock lances and things like that. That could be cool. Scarlet Demon says, what if Facepocker has become a Draco Lich and is even more powerful than before? Ooh, a dragon! That would be cool. That would be really, really cool. Yeah, you're like needing to hide these people from a dragon. Facepocker has caught your scent. He could be a Draco Lich. I don't know if and maybe if that's the one we'd run with, we could develop that further. But just the very idea of it just being a dragon already has me excited. And then it's kind of similar to the zombies. It's like, oh my god, a dragon is already terrifying, but where this dragon fights you is also really cool. Facepocker has caught your scent and is starving. You know, it's the end of the world. There's not a lot of things for him to eat anymore, so he's desperate to take anything he can get, right? One more idea. We'll keep this list a little shorter to a D4. We've got our zombie horde. We've got our Mad Max gnolls. We've got a starving dragon. What's one more? I also got to think if I can contribute one here. Hard Shepherd said, maybe the enemy is the darkness, a magical entity that has no form but is a lair effect. When the sun goes down, they must keep the lights on or else the darkness will eat them. Kind of like Age of Umbra sort of vibes there, which, by the way, who's tuning into that tonight? I'm very excited. First session. I watched the character creation last week. Of course, that's not going to be as exciting as actually playing the game. But, and I will, if I, I'll be fair. I don't want to be a Matt Mercer kiss ass, right? And she's like, oh, he's perfect. I did kind of leave the session 0 feeling like Matt didn't really engage them in a lot of interesting conversation about their character backstory. And a lot of Daggerheart's character creation is like built around this idea of, hey, the players and the DM should create the world together. And what ended up, I noticed this a couple times, the players, Ashley, Marisha, Sam, whatever, they'd ask Matt a question of like, could I, what do you think of this idea? Or could I be this? Or could there be this thing in the world? And Matt's answer was, his answer was just like, there could be. yeah, if you want. And I'm like, okay, that's good. I'm glad. Like, obviously, he's saying yes. That's good. But I would love to have seen a little more kind of like, oh, yeah, and maybe we could add this to it. Or, yeah, that could totally exist, and here's maybe where that could be at. I would have loved to have heard more of Matt's ideas. He kind of just almost like sat back and let the players do it all without him. And I was like, dang. Would have loved to have seen his process a little bit more, or more collaboration. But regardless, I'm very excited for session 1 tonight. The darkness idea, though, that Heart Shepherd shared was cool. Let me think on that, and let's see if I can come up with my own idea here. The enemy, we've got gnolls, so we've got a pack of ferocious warriors. We've got a huge horde of zombies. So, like, the gnolls you could kill, theoretically. You could just kill them all, and that's how you win. The zombies, there is no killing them. There's too many. It is simply a matter of get from point A to point B, right? Without losing everybody. The Dracolich dragon idea with Facepalker is similar to the zombies, but maybe on a more epic scale. And there could be a fight there if you wanted it to be a high enough level sort of deal. But I think, actually, now that I'm saying this out loud, the real benefit of Facepalker is there is certainly more role play. I'm envisioning the Smog sort of moment where he's creeping through the mountain, talking to Bilbo, sniffing him out while Bilbo's trying to hide. You could do a similar sort of thing with your characters where you're obviously not role-playing with zombies. So we've got a role-play, we've got an exploration, and we've got a combat focus. So we could kind of go in any direction here. We don't have anything on the ocean, so that could be something fun. You got to protect your people on a boat. I'm getting ahead of myself, though. That's no longer the enemy, that's the location. But again, kind of can think about them at the same time. What is an interesting enemy? We've got a giant monster. We've got a huge horde of mindless things. A pack of very focused killers. Maybe like... What about... like an angel was sent down? Like, what if in this hypothetical one-shot scenario, humanity was forsaken by the gods, and they have sent their angels down to, like, take out any survivors. There can be no survivors. And the party has to defend their people against a team of 1 or 2, like, angels. And they could be, like, really high CR, or they could be kind of lower CR. That could be sort of interesting. And it's almost more of, like, a duel. But that's not gripping me. There had been an idea for a jungle. You're fighting, like, the environment itself. Which I do actually think that's a pretty cool idea. How about, I'm going to combine 2 ideas. So there was one that was shared about it being a jungle, and then someone else had pitched an idea of sort of elemental magics. So we could say a jungle... A jungle... Mutated isn't a good word to use for a jungle, but we'll run with it. A jungle mutated by elemental magics seeks to consume anything that enters it, and it must be crossed. So the party is not really fighting anything. You could throw a combat encounter in there if you wanted to, but the real danger here is, how are you going to get all of these people across this river of lava? How are you that's kind of a lame example of an elemental hazard, and maybe I don't want it to be in a jungle, actually. It could just be like the Arctic is an interesting environment. What could be a cool Arctic monster? Ooh, well, I was going to say you're being chased by Yetis, but that's very similar to our warg caravan idea. You're being chased across something. What if you were, like, gathered around a campfire out in the tundra, and it's like Yetis have found you and they're trying to... No, that's kind of boring. That's just a fight. You're just in a circle fighting Yetis. Huh. Do we stick with the jungle idea? Maybe. Or... Man, let me look around, see if anything inspires me. I mean, I do like the idea of the angels being sent to take you out. But Oh, Casey throwing in an idea. Maybe some sort of Remoraz or a Storm Wizard. Hey, Silvers, good to see you in the chat. A Fey Wanderer who's looking for a game of riddles with lethal consequences. Could be cool. Casey also said maybe some sort of Ice Medusa. Yeah. Ooh, that just gave me an idea. So, Casey, thank you. What if this will sort of combine the environmental threats that were sort of incorporated into the jungle idea, but let's take it to the tundra. And what if we say the party must take shelter from an Arctic storm in a castle filled with, I mean, oh man, what would be cool? My idea, what I like about this idea is you are trapped in a place that you cannot escape. Unlike the dragon idea or the zombie idea, which is like all about getting out of this place alive, this one in an Arctic tundra castle idea is like you have to stay the night. If you leave, you're for sure dead. So you got to keep people alive inside this castle. And what's in here? We can do Yetis, Ice Wizards, Ice Medusa idea, Remoraz. I kind of just like a classic skeleton. Why don't we do like, we'll do Ice Mages and Frozen Skeletons. That's cool. We'll call this one Shelter. All right. Ooh, Grandfather Doom, that's a cool idea. An icy labyrinth occupied by a frost minotaur. Ooh. Like sections of the labyrinth have just been completely frozen over. There's walls of ice creating dead ends. Slippery sections where like the minotaur's charging you down. You're like, oh my god. You can't outrun it. That could be cool. Sure, why the hell not? Let's go crazy with it. The party must take shelter in an Arctic labyrinth. In a castle filled... From an Arctic storm. In a labyrinth. I don't know how to spell labyrinth. Occupied by frozen, or not frozen, Arctic minotaurs. I hate saying Arctic twice. By ice minotaurs. Sure, whatever. Very cool idea, Dad. Cool. All right, let's run our poll. See what y'all decide. The enemy is ... And some of these already have kind of given us idea for location, right? But we've got our Mad Max Knolls. I feel like naming it that way will kind of sway the vote, but we'll see. We've got the Zombie Horde. That's a basic-ass name, but don't let it dissuade you. It can still be very fun. We've got Facepocker, the dragon. And then we've got the, we'll call these Arctic Minotaurs. We'll call them the Facepocker. That's such a good name. I love that name for our dragon. Probably one of the coolest names I think I've ever come up with for a villain. Hey, what's up, Colin Lee? Perfect timing to vote in this poll. Let me know, what is our villain going to be? What is our villain that is seeking to bring about the end of the mortal world as we know it? Be it literally, or no, we're already past the Doomsday. It is bringing about the end of the mortal world by devouring the last of the mortals. Could be fun. Yeah, Grandfather Doom, you totally could occupy the labyrinth with the Medusa or other villain suggestion ideas. I think if I were prepping this, which I am in this instance, right? But I would probably I would really limit the number of like big villains I've got, only because it's a one-shot. You're playing like 4 hours probably for like an average group of adults who are tired after 3 hours of play. That's like maybe if you really did like 2-3 full combats, that's your full night. And I want the focus to be on these minotaurs, not necessarily like a Medusa or other things. Now, you could have like a Remoraz kind of crawling through. I would have the minotaurs be the main threat, and then I would have maybe 1 or 2 lesser threats, like young Remoraz or Arctic wolves. Things that you could have a random encounter with where you're going to kill them a lot easier than you would the minotaurs, because that's the main threat, right? Yeah, Heart Shepherd. It could be anywhere with the labyrinth. We could switch it up to whatever we want. Good point. Oh, wow. Arctic Minotaurs. Hey, we're up to 11 votes. Dang. Even more than the previous poll. Hell yeah. Okay, well, we bumped our numbers up, and we picked our enemy. It is the... Hold on, I'm just going to copy these tables down here just for future reference again. So we know we're doing the... I named that one Shelter. That was stupid. Okay, so the party must take shelter from a... We'll just call this a storm. It doesn't have to be Arctic themed. But must take shelter from a storm in a labyrinth occupied by minotaurs. Miniotars. Alright, we've got our Doomsday event. We've got our enemy. Hold on. Getting weird with my formatting again. Okay, now we need kind of our last big question before we can start prepping, like really prepping the one shot is, where is this happening? So we talked about an Arctic idea, but let's get a couple other ideas. Where would it be an interesting place to have a labyrinth? Where would be some interesting places for a labyrinth? So we've got Arctic maze. So it's a maze full of slippery ice, jagged icicles, walls of ice, freezing temperatures, all those sorts of things. Icicles. Is that how you spell it? Wow, See? Ugh, what do you mean you don't know that I'm trying to spell temperatures? All it needs is an E. Oh my god. Oh, so stupid. So stupid. Okay, another idea. What else do we got? While you guys are typing them up, let me just get our little list for at least 4 ideas here. Boop. Boop, boop. Okay, cool maze theme. You've got ice, you've got lava, you've got astral, something out in space. You've got... You could just do a classic dungeon maze. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to be, like, so crazy. Could be like in a collapsed city, and it wasn't built as a maze, but the ruins have sort of formed a maze. That could be interesting. Rope Goat. I really have time for more than one combat in a one-shot. Dang. Heart Shepherd says maybe a volcano. You could do something with a jungle, an air dungeon. I mean, Heart Shepherd, you're just throwing out environments. Let's be a little more specific, right? Because, like, desert. What does desert mean, right? Give me, like, what does the environment do to the labyrinth? Hey, Heart Shepherd. I just saw your other message. You gotta go. Love you all. This was fun. We love you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate your ideas. They were really good. Scarlet Demon said the labyrinth could be segmented in a way where sections of it are wildly different climates. I like that. Or Casey saying, just throwing this out there, minotaurs, like the tiny ferocious bulls of the sea. That's funny. Noble Knight, maybe a dead city is filled with evidence of former life, but it's disturbingly empty. Scarlet Demon says, what if the labyrinth had once been the home lab of a mage, where rooms were used to grow rare or exotic materials, or a farm creature. Ooh, I like that idea of a mage's maze, where they hid or trapped their creations away. That's a cool one. So it's an arcane maze. So we got an Arctic maze, we've got an arcane maze. Casey also saying maybe a natural cave used by arcane researchers. A terrible accident or calamity happened there. Natural cave. Makes it kind of a sort of a maze. A natural cave maze. Yeah, maybe we're needing to, like, take shelter deep underground for whatever reason. We've, like, heard there's a shelter, a bunker, down at the bottom of these caves. And we've got to reach it. Could do that. Caves could be cool. Or like let me think for a sec. A labyrinth. So a labyrinth is a maze. You've got all kinds of twisting, winding halls, dead ends, and traps. When I think of that, what do I think of? Some sort of... I mean, a labyrinth tends to be man-made. So could we do, like, someone's trying to stop you from getting somewhere? It's a maze. Ooh, what about a maze that was built to sort of separate... Like, I kind of like that idea of there being a bunker or a community that you could kind of were trying to get to, but they have hid themselves away at the center of a maze. I think that's an interesting one. What would we call that? The shelter, maybe, or not safe house, not bunker. Maybe bunker. What is it, like a community? Why can't I not think of the word? I feel like there's a specific word here to describe what I'm going for. But anyways, we'll stick with shelter for now. So the location is a maze built to hide a safe place where the last of mortal kind is hiding. We must get there. So in this instance, we are not necessarily the last of mortals. There is like this tiniest bit of hope that if we can get to there, then we can join some others who might be like us, and who knows how many there are. I will say I don't love that it takes away the stakes a little bit, but it is still an interesting idea, so we'll keep it on the list. Roped Goat said, if we use the crumbling structure idea, impacts could cause the corridors to shift, so even backtracking makes different paths. Colin Lee said, a destroyed city that went through a siege, and this Minotaur... Oh! Okay, I don't even have to finish that sentence, Colin Lee, because you just... I don't know why, but just reading the word Minotaur and thinking of what Roped Goat said of crumbling structures, and then you, Colin Lee, also said, like, that the Minotaurs were almost laying siege to the city. What if the sieging Minotaurs turned the ruins into a maze? The location is a city, so a ruined city that the sieging Minotaurs turned into a maze. Why do we need to... So maybe there's like something... Is there something in it? Or no, we talked about that we're taking shelter. Oh, I'm kind of finding a hole in this, though, because if we're taking shelter in a labyrinth, why would we risk navigating the labyrinth? So I kind of feel like this has to shift a little bit. It's less about... Like, I feel like the one-shot needs to be about finding the center of the maze with this group of people for whatever reason, right? Or if it's not a labyrinth with the thing, the center is where you're trying to get to, it's a maze that we have to cross, the start and the finish, right? And it's less about bunkering down for a night, because that kind of takes away any motivation to navigate the maze. So we'll have to think about that a little bit. Maybe we'll visit... Let's go back to these ideas and see if we need to adjust anything. So the Arctic maze is full of slippery ice, jagged icicles, walls of ice, freezing temperatures. So we fled into here. We need to... I guess it could still work. Well, no. I was going to say, like, the players have to go deep into the maze and clear it out to keep the people safe. But if the players just leave the rest of the people at the entrance, they, like, get there at the start of the session, like, all right, we're going to go clear the maze, see ya, and they never see them again until the very end, that's kind of lame, because then there's no risk that the people will die. So I'm going to change this. The party must navigate a maze, must navigate a labyrinth occupied by Minotaurs. Okay, so now we have to just think, why? A maze, an Arctic maze, why would you need to do that? Maybe it's the... If you navigate the Arctic maze... Dang. This, I almost wish I hadn't pointed that out, but I feel like it needed to be pointed out, because this does sort of throw a wrench in things a little bit. Noble Knight has an idea for the cold maze. We fled in there because the outside is a scorching desert, and the inside is a magical source of cold that we can use to cross the desert. Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. Oh, Kyle Campu making a quick solution. The entrance where they sheltered collapsed. They must go forward to escape. Now you're thinking. Now you're thinking. I like that. That could certainly work. Maybe we could do that with... I like that idea for the ruined city one. Entrance collapses. Find your way out, right? This one was hiding a safe place. We have to find the center, so that makes sense. The arcane one, Mage's Maze, where they hid or trapped their creations away. Maybe we just have to find the exit. It's a similar situation. We were maybe placed in here by the mage, this crazed mad mage at the end of the world. Like tricks us into wandering into here, and we got to get our people out of here. And you're fighting all these weird experiments. And then I like this idea that we find the center and we can turn off the storm. Maybe that's part of like what's creating the storm, is whatever's at the middle here. Cool. Okay. Let's do another poll. And then we will prep our one shot. The location is ... Are we doing the Arctic maze? Are we doing the Mad Mage maze? Are we doing the shelter maze? What? I cannot think of the word. There's a bunker. I'm gonna call it a bunker. I think that sounds cooler than shelter. The bunker maze, or are we doing the city ruins maze? Arctic maze, Mad Mage maze, bunker maze, and city ruins maze. Cool. Start that poll. What do we think? I'll give you a minute to vote. Sorry, I'm checking. I just got a notification. Just checking something. What the? Oh, I'll look into that later. Anywho, what were some ideas that were getting dropped while I was typing that up? Casey said a protection spell set up a long time ago is malfunctioning. They are given a replacement part to protect / get to the center. Oh, that's a cool idea too. Deliver something. Yeah, that's cool. I guess why would you bring your caravan of people in there though, right? But I suppose like maybe you could say that about any of these, but I guess if the choice was we can leave our people outside the maze where they're sitting ducks, or we bring them in with us and maybe we can keep them alive, I guess you could go that route too. What's in the lead so far? Dang, the fourth option has been winning like every single time so far. Arctic Maze has got 29% of the votes. Oh, that's a minute. End the poll. All right, we decided on the the City Ruins Maze. Cool. That's awesome. Okay, so let's familiarize ourselves with our 3 initial steps, and then we will begin our final step. So the Doomsday. What are the stakes? The Doomsday event involves the players are among the last 1d20 mortals alive, or just 20, whatever you want it to be. And if they fail to protect their caravan from attacking monsters, the mortal race will go extinct. Very cool. The enemy, Minotaurs. The party must navigate a labyrinth occupied by the Minotaurs. Where is this maze? It is in the ruins of an ancient city that the entrance collapses as we enter it to take shelter from a storm. And I guess I think I deleted that detail earlier, so I'll add it here. Entrance collapses as we enter to take shelter from a storm. Okay. Now that we've done that, we've got our 3 initial steps. Time for step 4. The fun part. This is where we do the tasks. This is the real prep. What like sequence of events will what the are those different sizes? Uh-oh. Why are these different sizes? Oh no. That's not right. Is this one smaller? What the? How much of my things are... Oh, dear. Anywho, ignore that. Ignore that. We're fine. Everything's fine. I just have to make sure I fix that in the future. So, now, like, the maze is an interesting one to do the tasks with, because it's not the same as, like, navigating rooms in a dungeon, per se, right? There is a risk of kind of getting trapped, hitting dead ends. So there's a little bit of a caveat in the way that we're gonna have to lay out these steps. But let's see what we can do here, right? So, description. Let me get a quick little... This is also how I lay out my session prep, is I'll do a... oh my god. There we go. I will... The header will usually be like, the missions, or whatever, or the tasks, right? And it's just, what are the things that I expect my players need to do over the course of this evening to be successful? So for a maze, how would we do that, I wonder? Hold on. I can give this my full brain thought after I format. Okay. So, we enter into the maze. It collapses behind us. Now we know, well, we gotta find an exit out of this maze. So we've got to navigate this thing. So, how I would do that, just my first instinct is, well, this is going to involve some sort of perception checks or investigation checks to navigate the maze. And on a failure, there's a trap is triggered, you hit a dead end, you're attacked by something. And on a success, you move into a chamber where maybe there's a treasure, you get something good. So rather than prepping tasks, we're almost just prepping out a list of rooms. And every time the party rolls or a check, whether they succeed or fail, we kind of just have them roll on this table, and then we reflavor that room. If they failed the check, we make the room a little deadlier. If they succeeded, we make the room a little easier. Could be a simple way to do this, right? So I think we could probably even change... We talked about this yesterday on how to be a great game master. What makes you a great GM is flexibility. I'm going to be flexible here, and instead of saying tasks, I'm going to say the halls. The halls of this maze. And that's what we're sort of brainstorming and prepping. And I would probably want... Oh, what do we got? 5 so far? If I were running a one-shot, I think 6 is honestly probably plenty, but I think going up to 8 gives just a little bit of breathing room and some flexibility. Sure, you're going to have some stuff on this list that doesn't get used, but that's okay. So, what do we have for ideas in the halls of this labyrinth that has been formed from a ruined city that the Minotaurs have carved into their maze? What would be things in a city that you could run into? Things that jump to mind. You've got like courtyards with fountains or like city squares. You've got a marketplace. You've got all the different types of shops, right? You could be going through a blacksmith area, a granary. You could go through a magic item shop. You've got statues. There are canals that would go through a city with bridges and things like that. Watchtowers, residential apartments and homes and things like that. What could make some of these a little deadly, though? And this is where we're getting into such specifics now that the ideas start to... It takes a little longer. You have to flesh them out in more detail. So the speed at which we can do this has to slow down just a hair. In a ruined city turned into a maze, the different halls you're going to have to navigate are... I like the canal idea. So, a polluted canal with a narrow bridge crossing it. Oops. Ah. Oh, my lord. And there could be like... oh, you know what? Sewers. That's an idea. Here, let's get some keywords, actually. I don't know why I didn't think to do that first. We have bridge. We've got sewer. We've got... what are some other... Give me some keywords, right? Let's do that. Instead of trying to force our brain to come up with an entire idea just out of nowhere, keywords can help us with that. So city, keywords. Bridge, sewer, gatehouse, market. I'll let you guys come up with a couple as well while I finish writing. We at least had this one figured out. A polluted canal with a narrow bridge crossing it. It's crumbling. And there are piranhas or there's like... I was going to say alligators, but I think that could be the sewer. But it's crumbling and... Sure, I'll just say piranhas. Piranhas in the water. Or quippers, as they call them. Food storage, tower. Oh, academy. That's a great one, Scarlet Demon. Like that one. Temple district. I like temple a lot, too. Blacksmith. Did I put that on here? Not yet. We could do blacksmith. Bullfighting arena. Oh, a coliseum. Or like the entertainment. That's super good. Nice one, Dad. Mass transport, or a palace, or a town hall. Guardhouse, guild hall. Do I want to replace any of these? Bridge? Bridge can maybe be changed, but it does at least introduce a new aspect of the environment with some running water, although you have that with sewer. So maybe I'll change bridge. Maybe we could do something cooler. Casey, the sewers with the Minotaurs. Yes, exactly. Palace, town hall, mass transportation, bullfighting arena. We could do like a wizard tower. I think that might be what Roped Goat meant when he said tower. Ooh, a butcher shop would be freaky with some like giant minotaurs in there with giant, huge butcher knives. Oof. A quarry? Are there quarries in a city? I thought that's like a mining thing, isn't it? Go down to the quarry. Wizard's Tower. Hold on. Wizard's Tower, Sewer, Gatehouse, Market, Academy, Temple, Blacksmith, Coliseum. Or no, I think Coliseum is spelled with 2 S's, not 2 L's. Okay, I think that's a pretty good... Ooh, walls? Walls is interesting. The thing about walls is if you're going along the tops... Oh, slums is even cooler. Diomede, hey, good to see that name. It's new in the chat. Oh, we could certainly get that in there. I think I'm going to swap out Blacksmith only because I'm not... Like, nothing is immediately jumping to mind that makes that sound like an exciting, dangerous environment, besides fire. But I feel like we could kind of do that anywhere, but slums, that's a great one. And do we swap in the... Hey, what's up, Marc? It's meat market, or it's kind of similar to the butcher shop. Do we put that in here somewhere? Wizard Tower, Sewer, Gatehouse, Market, Academy. Maybe we swap it with Market. Because Market is a little broad, but the butcher, that's very specific. I mean, you could say the same thing about any of these, like Academy and Temple. That's very broad, but compared to just like an open market, well, actually, you know what? I think I take that back. Because as the players are navigating the market, they could make an interesting choice where if I were GMing it, I would say, you guys can take a turn to try and loot the market and find useful things, but every time you do that, there is a risk that something shows up. So it's a place where the party has a decision to make. How much time do we spend here? And maybe there's a butcher shop in the market, but I don't know if it has to be the entire market, right? So here, let's quickly kind of make some notes here, just as I'm thinking ahead of how I'll eventually publish this, right? So they enter the maze, exit collapses, must navigate the maze with int or whiz, having encounters on a failure. And it kind of comes down to just a big skill challenge, right? Maybe it's like you have to navigate... What is it? So it's like best 3 out of 5. What comes after best 3 out of 5? 3 is probably honestly enough. So like 3, 6, or no, it would be... Best 3 out of 5 would be... Yeah, not the same thing. It's not the same thing as 3 successes before. So, okay, I'm confusing myself here, because 3 out of 5 is like you're competing with each other, which you're not doing during a skill challenge. It would really be like 5 successes before like 3 failures. And if you fail 3, then like you get lost in the maze forever or something. I don't know if I would have that permanent of a condition on a one shot. But so that's the setup. Enter the maze, gotta navigate it. You're making some checks, moving room to room. And then, reach the exit. That's obviously how it ends. I don't know if there's anything we need to really add there, except maybe like a boss fight or something. Okay, cool. Now we can start thinking about what is in each of these areas. And what we need to remember, everybody, do not forget, this is not just like walking through a city with open skies above and it's just a normal environment. This is a ruined city that has been leveled, basically, by these minotaurs and turned into a maze. Now, I guess it's obviously not subterranean. You're not enclosed everywhere you go. This one shot does sort of have to assume that the party doesn't have any ability to fly. But even if the party did have flight, it doesn't matter, because the 20 or so pilgrims that they're bringing with them, they don't have the ability to fly. So unless the party is willing to abandon these people and just fly out of the maze, like, they kind of have to walk it with these people. But the point being, these are all ruined. So we can sort of lean into that a little bit more. So I don't think I necessarily want us to go in order, but just as you have ideas for what could be in each of these, drop them in the chat, but put like in parentheses at the start of your message, like parentheses, slums, and then what is the idea for what's in the slums, right? Oh, I guess I do have to think about where the minotaurs come into play. Having encounters with minotaurs. Maybe we'll do it that way. Oh my god, I cannot spell this word. So if you fail a skill check, that's where you run a risk of encountering a minotaur. In addition to the hazards that exist in these spaces. So the wizard's tower could have like strange mutating magics. You have to... yeah, what about this? Okay, so like ancient unstable wards risk mutating pilgrims into arcane horrors. So you have to, when you're navigating the wizard's tower, you're relying on obviously your wizard, but your int-based characters who are proficient in arcana and things of that sort to be able to disarm these sort of strange glyphs or arcane traps or devices or whatever in order for your people to safely navigate it. And it all could just boil down to just con saves, right? If you really are just like, we gotta go, like there's a minotaur chasing behind us, everyone run through here, then they all make a con save, and anyone who fails mutates into some sort of crazy arcane horror. That's my idea for that one. Who's got ideas in the chat though? Casey's got an idea for part of the market. There's an automated security sort of deal that could be corrupted or malfunctioning. Ooh, there's guards. Yeah, is there somewhere else we could put that in here? What about the gatehouse? What if we do chained guards enslaved to the minotaurs? Stop the party's progress. And maybe even like alert the minotaurs. Why am I unable to fucking spell this word? There we go. Or I'll just say alarms, ? That's a cool idea. So the minotaurs took prisoners, but they've shackled and chained them to the gatehouse and just told them, like, you better, if anybody comes through here and you don't tell us, we're going to kill you, is sort of the deal. Cool, Casey, that you set up that good alley-oop there. Silvers has an idea for the slums. With cramped, unstead houses and narrow alleyways, the slums are filled with toxic fog, and the only safe way to cross it is to move along the rooftops, making makeshift planks as bridges. Ooh, that's cool. So the slums have become, they're so filthy and full of poisonous smog that the group must navigate the rooftops. Oops. I think I was trying to spell that like the dragon smog. Yeah, so filthy and full of poisonous smog. And maybe, what could we introduce like a threat here? I want to say dogs, right? You always think of wild dogs or things like when you think of a slum. But maybe there's... What else could we put down there? I mean, obviously the minotaurs are the main threat. So anywhere we can sort of sprinkle in a secondary threat could be interesting. But maybe we just leave it at that. It's mostly just the environment. And the minotaurs are running down through the slums and are kind of waiting for us to fall. And as we're kind of navigating these plank bridges, the minotaurs could be slamming the walls of the buildings, kind of making it harder, risk falling off. That could be cool. Good idea, Silvers. Noble Knight said, for the market, the minotaurs' war beasts are currently destroying this area, but if you can successfully defeat them, then you could gain a bunch of supplies to help the pilgrims. Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be a looting option here. So, lootable market stands that are being... So you said, Noble Knight, that the Minotaur's war beasts are here. Is that not how you spell lootable? Maybe lootable is not a word, but whatever. Lootable market stands that the Minotaurs have. They're war beasts. That's interesting. They're kind of like stalking the area. Or the Minotaurs are like rummaging for supplies. How about, what if we do this? Lootable market stands, which the Minotaurs... what would be like a cool minion that would serve a Minotaur? Maybe they're cultists? Although, if we keep introducing this idea of like, there's guards and there's cultists and there's people who are surviving in the slums, like, then we take less and less away from this idea that the party is the last people. So I kind of like the idea that the guards might be some of the only people left in this city. But there's lootable market stands, which the Minotaurs, I'll just say minions for now, are scavenging supplies from. So you can do the same, or you could just try and sneak past them. I like that idea. Scarlet Demon had an idea for the Wizard's Tower. The tower collapsed in such a way that it is the only way to traverse a flooded street or opened rift. Bridges have collapsed and it is too wide to cross. Oh, so the tower itself has formed a bridge. That's cool. Ancient unstable wards risk mutating pilgrims into arcane horrors. tower has formed us a bridge over a canal. That's a great addition to that, Scarlet. Colin said, maybe the morphing can be the magic of a Sphinx ring. That is a royal symbol and power over nature that's turning people into Minotaur hybrids. Yeah, Sphinx ring. That's super specific. That's a cool idea. Silvers has another idea for the slums. There's swarms of carrion crows, weak on their own but distracting enough that you might fall down. Then you're the next meal. Yeah, that's a fun idea. I guess we could throw... so filthy and full of poisonous smog. What about rats? I like the idea of there being rats down there. Although crows are also kind of cool. And you are on the rooftop, so maybe it does make more sense for carrion crows. Cool. Great idea. I don't know why I tried to change it. What are some that we haven't touched on yet? Oh, here we go. Casey's got one for the temple or guard headquarters district. Some sort of weakness or way to defeat the Minotaurs is hidden in it. Okay, that I was not expecting that. Okay, we could do something like that. My brain is also going in the direction of, like, this is now a desecrated holy place. So, what if healing magics didn't work in this area? I like that. Desecrated holy site where healing magics no longer work. And we could add, like, the... How would Minotaurs desecrate a holy place? Are the Minotaurs the threat here, or is there something else? What about we did, like, crazed priests with horns pierced into their skulls? So yes, we introduced some more mortals, but we can do that once, twice, probably not 3 times. But the guards, I guess what I like is that any humans we do introduce have no possibility of being welcomed into the party's pilgrims group, right? These priests that are here are crazy. The Minotaurs have, like, snapped off horns from their beasts or whatever and pierced them into the priests' skulls. And they've just driven them crazy. And so these priests, it's like, it's on site, right? If the party alerts these priests, they're going to come running after them. We've got Diomede has an idea for the sewers. Their toxic and filthy waters have twisted and warped an unfortunate Minotaur, and now it has 2 misshapen heads, a claw for an arm, patches of scales and warts. Oh, I like that. Some sort of, like, mutated amphibious Minotaur, sort of like Killer Croc vibes is down in there. That's an awesome idea. So we say they're flooded, backed up, must be traversed on small boats, or like life raft sort of things. You're kind of floating through the sewers on doors and stuff like that. And there's a mutated amphibious, oh god, I'm so bad at spelling, amphibious Minotaur is down here. Great idea. Okay, so we've got the Wizard Tower, we've got the sewer, we've got the Gatehouse, Market. So we still need the Academy and the Coliseum, and that's it. We just need 2 more. Has anybody dropped ideas for those yet? Academy or Coliseum? Grandfather Doom, Coliseum was your idea. Let's see what you say. How about harpies using their song to lure mortals away? Ooh. Oh, we didn't think about the docks. Ooh, what if the docks are the way out? The only way to escape the city is to reach the docks, and then you have to, like, sail away. That could be interesting. But we got an idea for Academy from Scarlet Demon. A Minotaur who believes themselves a mage has claimed the Academy as their own, forever teaching lecturers to... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me start that over. I was distracted with the thought in my head. A Minotaur who believes themselves a mage has claimed the Academy as their own, forever teaching lectures to desks with bodies tied or chained to the chairs. Oh, okay. Kind of cool. Noble Knight has an idea for the temple, which maybe we could apply to the Academy, but the Minotaurs instead have dedicated it to their religion, so now anyone who isn't a Minotaur who enters it gets slowly turned into a savage Minotaur, or what's a Meta? I've never heard of a Meta. But yeah, they've dedicated it to their gods. That's a cool idea. Is the Academy one we maybe want to change? I'm really liking the idea of the docks. And the docks are like where you escape. The Minotaurs maybe like... I had an idea. What if the Minotaurs didn't attack by land, but they attacked by sea? A bunch of Minotaurs coming off of these boats and like Osgiliath style, just pillaging their way into the city could be kind of cool. And it's an interesting location for you to make your great escape. It's cooler than just, oh, well, the gate we came in through collapsed, so we need to go find a different gate. But how do you necessarily... Well, if the party arrived here and knew going into it, like, if you arrived at a medieval coastal city, you would know, like, this is a coastal city, it probably has docks. I'm going to swap out docks. Or I'm going to swap docks in for the academy. Sue me. So 5, 6... 7. Now, I'll have to think when I'm formatting this how to convey the idea that the docks are the final location, because all of the others could sort of be encountered in any order. Could be totally random. But the docks are where the Minotaurs invaded, and several of their ships can be stolen to escape the city. Okay, and so there's probably like Minotaur or like guards or sentries, or their barracks is here. I'll just say lots of Minotaurs for now. So really we needed an idea for the Colosseum. Which Kyle Camp we just dropped an idea for. A boss fight with Minotaur leader or champion. Victory earns safe passage through the maze, at least from the Minotaurs. The boss fight idea I like. I don't like the idea that the Minotaurs will just like let you go. And I also don't necessarily think this is the type of thing where the players are going to walk in and there's people in the stands. What if the Colosseum, here's my idea, where the Minotaurs keep their beasts of war. Someone had shared that idea before of beasts of war or something, which try to break free of their chains. So as the party is bringing their people through the Colosseum, you're needing to like navigate and gauge the distance, whereas these creatures are like pulling at their chains and snarling, or they're like behind these gates and they're trying to break their way out. It's like, can you get to the other side of this big open Colosseum before these things break free and attack? That's like scary to think about. All right, did we do it? I think we did it. Ooh, a Minotaur champion rides on his back. Grandfather Doom also said the Colosseum is home to an iron or other sort of metal bull. Ooh, a metal bull is a cool idea. What if we did like an Iron Bull Beastmaster? So it's a Minotaur in like a big metal suit that it just kind of uses to... It wears it... It functions as armor, but it's not armor for war. It's armor because these beasts attack it all the time. But it's covered in spikes and things. If you look up, there's like a Russian bear hunting suit or something like that. It's just a kind of a leather bodysuit covered in spikes, so that if a bear tries to get you, it spears itself. Maybe that's like what this Minotaur has on it in there. But I think we did it, and which is good because we were coming up on 2 hours. But that is how I would prep a one-shot. We went through my steps. Come up with the premise. Think about the enemies or the dangers the players are going to encounter. Really make sure you understand the location and make it an interesting location. Don't just make it generic. Make it something cool, something weird. And then lay out a list of either scenes, scenarios, dungeon rooms, whatever it is that needs to be traversed. Lay those out, and your players will just progress through them either in a predetermined order, or in this case, I think it'd be fun to have them roll and have it be random. But know that like number 8 is the way out. So I'll have to do a little work when I prep this to be published of like the number 8. I'll basically have to take the docks and have it be like the final, like number 9. Or I guess you could really think about it as the gatehouse where you arrive is number 1. Then you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then room 12, or no, it's a D8 or D10 list if you include the first room and the docks where you escape. So we'll have to kind of add a bonus room here. But I've got lots of other things that need to be done today. And the focus of this was to just show you the process. And so I really appreciate everybody who tuned in, threw out your ideas. This was a really lively chat. Scrolling through, we got tons and tons of ideas. So, but thank you to Noble Knight, Scarlet Demon, Grandfather Doom, Kyle Campo, Colin Lee, Diomede, Casey Wilkes, right? All of you, Silvers, kind of who were here in the chat and active near the end of it. That means a lot. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. So, last thing I will say, don't forget, if you go follow the Patreon, you can read my lists as I release them. You can stay up to date on everything that I'm doing with the church. And you can also download PDFs. And if you're a Tithe Giving member, and you'll also get the Wretched Tropics zine, which is, right now it is 20, I mean, including covers, 24 pages. But it's going to have at least 20 plus pages of content as a little micro setting, so you can go get that. But that's the last thing. I'll plug my Patreon. Link is in the description and pinned in the chat. So that's all for me, though, everybody. Thank you so much. We say these things in your holy. Well, let's try that again. We say these things in your unholy names. Amen. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I think I'll see you tomorrow morning for our Friday stream.